welcome to this week's episode of the Top Podcast. Once again, if you are a young, we will be discussing Aliens by James Cameron. This movie is rated R, so please pause or mute and go seek parental approval before continuing to consume this media. And if you are an adult, this is relatively intense subject matter that will be discussed, so viewer discretion is advised. Once again,
consume this. The kids are gone now, right? We can swear.
No swearing.
Consume this.
Still
Rob
main
has to edit
episode.
this if you swear. His mom listens. I know that only makes it more difficult for you. I'm Mike, joined by the ever classy Hot Kyle.
The one and only.
First mate Dan.
Hey, y'all.
And of course, Rob is here with us as well, and he's got an icebreaker for us this week. What do you got, Rob?
Well, first, do we say spoiler warnings for Aliens 1 and 2?
Oh, yes. You just reminded me to say that pre-pod, and I immediately forgot.
There we
Spoiler
go.
warnings for Alien and Aliens. And you have been warned if you haven't seen these movies that came out in 79 and in the 80s.
86 or something
40 years
like that.
ago. Go fix yourself and go watch these movies. Why are you listening to this podcast?
Well, how could you
when
wait
be
so
watching
long?
movies right
How
now?
dare you?
Literally.
How dare you wait till the 2025 in the year of our Lord to see Aliens? What's wrong with you? So, my wife actually came up, jokingly, we just watched it for the first time yesterday. My wife came up with this question, though. Who says it better? Because it's basically the same line. Ripley, and I believe it's let her go, you bitch, right? That's the phrase?
It's get away from her, you bitch.
Get away from you, bitch. Or Molly Weasley, who says, go ahead, Mike.
Not my daughter, you bitch.
There we go. Who delivers it better?
Honestly,
Okay.
you're making me choose between my two favorite children here. I love this line in both movie and in the Harry Potter books. I even like this line in the Harry Potter movies, and I've made my opinion about those movies very plain on this medium. I kind of gotta go Ridley though, man. Ripley, excuse me.
Ripley? We play too much Metroid. I agree.
It's very close for me, but I'm going to have to tip it towards Molly, if I'm honest. Just the delivery was perfect. Just absolutely perfect. I remember watching that scene, and everybody actually clapped.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at you.
Well, what's great about Molly Weasley's delivery is that every other scene you only see the sweetest, most kind, warm mother.
Exactly.
So to have that turn come out of her, for her to turn mother bear, I gotta give it personally though. I gotta give it to Ripley. I do gotta say, I'm an Alien diehard. This is one of my favorite movies, and I gotta give it to Ripley.
I think it's much harder to say that to the Queen Alien than to Bellatrix Lestrange. Takes more balls.
I don't know,
One
man.
takes more balls.
It's a close one for me.
Let's see. Here's question number 2. Which one would you rather face off with, Bellatrix Lestrange or the Queen Alien?
I mean, if I have a wand or a forklift as my weapon, I think I'd go Bellatrix, but it's close. I'm probably going to die either way.
It's the same thing with how would you want the alien die? Bellatrix is just gonna, Avada Kedavra you. So that's a quick one. So yeah, give me that instead of being impregnated and having.
She might have some fun, buddy. She seems like
Hey.
she would take her time
now.
just to enjoy it.
Don't tempt me with a good time, Kyle.
I was going to say, if I have to be tortured by either the Queen Alien or Bellatrix Lestrange, there's a clear way I'd rather go out. Just saying.
Back to Aliens, though.
Yeah. Now that the ice is broken.
Welcome to Top Podcast.
So first topic of business. I know that we had some people watch different versions. Rob, I believe you watched the theatrical cut.
Whatever's on Hulu.
You did. I watched the special edition. Dan, Kyle, we'll start with Dan. Which one did you watch?
So, I have seen both cuts. The more recent one that I watched was the special edition one, though.
Cool.
I grew up on the special edition, and I watched whatever one's on Hulu, like Rob did for this one, and I noticed stuff that was missing. I found myself being like, hold on, what's not here? And I'm kind of getting tired of there being so many different cuts of movies nowadays. Can we not just, why can't we just agree on an edition and forget the rest? Why do we need to go, oh, well, Paramount has this one and Hulu has this one, but this one's the secret Ridley Scott cut. It's can we not just agree upon one cut and then move forward?
Blame
For
Zack
fuck's
Snyder.
Sake. Oh,
Hey
sorry.
now,
For
watch
frick's
your
sake.
profanity.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Rob's mom.
Watch your profanity.
Literally.
I am inclined to agree, but on another level, I'm kind of like, there's a very real part of me that's like, I want to get the footage of both and splice them together and make a Michael cut that has all of it. So
just what we need. Another cut of Alien.
actually,
Add it to the
I'm
file.
actually gonna have to
Great
go in
suggestion.
the opposite direction and say I want more versions.
You know I'm a degenerate.
But no, I do know that I like the special edition a lot more. Having seen the movie without that extra footage, I like the special edition a lot more.
Yeah, I'm with you. Rob hasn't seen them, but go ahead.
Well, can we start by saying, like, Rob, do you even know that Ripley has a daughter?
I didn't before we start talking pre-podcast. I've
That's
always heard
crazy.
Ripley's daughter, and I'm like, wait a second, she's been in cryosleep for 57 years. When the heck did she have a kid?
Yeah. Well, and what's crazy is there's like a whole deleted scene. Like, I think so. I've heard about I think in the special edition, you find out that she died of old age. Is that right, guys?
Yes,
Correct.
the daughter is dead of old age.
Yes, which is like incredible storytelling, and lends itself to the fact that Ripley has this connection with Newt because she lost her own daughter and now forms this kinship with this little girl. But I also know that James Cameron filmed a scene that got deleted where Ripley speaks to her daughter as an old woman, and gets to say like hello / goodbye to her daughter, who is like, in her 60s and practically senile. And they ended up cutting it and going with the other version. But I thought that was also like interesting and heart-wrenching.
And for real, how glad are we though that he went that way? Because we have Alien Isolation because of that choice.
Nice. Absolutely. Yeah. Nice. That's great.
Great game, by the way, if anybody has not played that yet.
I started it, but I was like very deep into Spider-Man 2 and Dying Light 2, both games about freedom of movement. And so I just I couldn't get over how restrictive the movement was because it's a horror game and that's like a staple of the genre. But I do intend to go through and play it. Maybe I'll stream it. We can all make an event out of it.
Well, can I ask, Rob, this was your first time seeing it. As a first-time viewer, we've all seen this movie before. This was your first time.
Mm-hmm.
What is your fresh impression of the film?
Alien is better.
Okay, that's not an impression of this film. No.
I know. So I had to say that out there, which I will say it's like a slight step above. It's not like drastically better, but I think I liked a lot what the film was trying to do, but there was a whole heavy slab of 80s cringe that 40 years down the line, it's just like, okay. Like, we're talking about, like, the game over, man. I didn't know that's from Aliens. And it's supposed to be, like, a kind of a more serious thing. And every time, what's that character's name again?
Hudson.
Every time Hudson talks, I'm just like, I can't take this guy seriously. And I really like what they were trying to do. I think having a Marine, like, have a mental breakdown, PTSD, fantastic idea. I don't like the execution. I think Ripley and Newt was fantastic. That's definitely the best point of the whole movie. I kind of think I saw the alien too much, and it's just like, oh, that's a guy in a suit. I think the alien itself wasn't as scary. The only time I felt like true fear was like the face hugger scene when they're locked in there. But for the most part,
oh my god,
it didn't have the same, and we'll touch on it later. It didn't have like the same like scariness. I'm just like, oh, it's an alien. They're shooting it. They're dying everywhere. So I felt like it weakened the villain as an alien itself. That's kind of like my 2 cents.
I do agree that the concept of what you're up against is definitely different in Aliens, but I think it was a great way of doing changing the scope for the sake of the sequel, right? Like individual aliens become a little less threatening when you have grenade launchers and pulse rifles and that one guy with the 12 gauge in Space Marines for some reason. But like the threat is more the swarm and the fact that they're trying to get in and that nothing is safe anymore in a different way. And personally, that's why I think I like Aliens more. I enjoy watching this that you got the Marines and they're just completely blindsided because of their arrogance, and then it becomes this like desperate fight for survival, and they're getting picked off by the sheer numbers. I really liked that. And I would be interested to hear your take on the theatrical cut, because there are some elements like the so I don't think
You mean the extended
did you
cut,
have the
special
machine
edition?
gun? Yeah, sorry, the special edition. Like, did you get the
Turret scene.
gun scene?
Oh,
When they're like doing the synchronized dance with the machine gun, yeah, I saw that and I cringed.
no,
I know,
no,
I didn't get whatever you're talking about. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah.
How could you
So
printed that? That's so sick. Come on. The whole Marine like lock and loading scene, and they're like, "Oh, doing."
Every
come on.
time I was
like
expecting-
Michael said, it's the arrogance.
Every time I was expecting it was just the Marines, so we'll get to the machine gun thing. But every time in a second, but every time I saw the Marines, I kept on waiting for them to look at the camera and say, "I'm doing my part." Like it just felt like it was such a satire, but it wasn't trying to be a satire. So that's one knock I have against it.
Okay, I do think that it is there are elements of this that are supposed to be a little bit laughed at. Like I don't think you're supposed to take Hudson's breakdown seriously. I think he's supposed to be comic relief. Like I think you are allowed to laugh at these Marines sometimes because they're so cocky and kind of idiotic, and then you get to see their comeuppance like when they're taking on the aliens. Because one of my notes to talk about was the genius of Hudson's comic relief. Like, yes,
Why don't you put her in charge, man?
it's hilarious. Like, I don't think it's supposed to be serious. I think you're supposed to get a laugh out of a situation where somebody's having a freak out. Like, you manage to sneak in comic relief without it technically being funny in the moment.
But wouldn't it be better and more dramatic if it was a serious and like an actual mental breakdown, and like you as the viewer could experience that mental breakdown that they're having instead of just, oh, haha. I think it would have been better, in my opinion. But
fair enough.
Could be taste. A lot of it's down to
yeah.
taste between the two.
Yeah, of course. Respect.
Yeah, Hudson ends up being one of my favorite characters, honestly, in this movie, if not my favorite, just because I can look at Hudson and just relate. Because I feel like if I was in this situation, I would be acting like Hudson. I would not be acting like Ripley. I would be freaking out. I'd be like, I'm gonna die. I don't know what's gonna happen next. Like, he's relatable.
What's this
And he's
machine
great
gun
for
scene,
that.
though? Does it involve Hudson?
No, so basically there's a point when they I think it's after the ship
Initial
goes
attack.
down. Yeah, so like
Yeah,
they
exactly.
they lock themselves in this building and they barricade everything, and there's only two ways in that they can't barricade, and they have these four do you remember the briefcase turret from Nightfire? No. Okay.
I
They have
don't
these
know who
sentry
you're
guns.
asking.
They have these 4 sentry guns. So these turrets, they have
Yes.
sensors on them. And like basically you have the scene where they're just coming in droves down these 2 long hallways, and the sentry guns are just mowing them down one after another, and they're coming and coming and coming, and just one after another, and you're watching the bullet cop drop and drop and drop, and like right when what's Dwayne's last name?
Johnson.
John. I think
Hey, Rock.
Hicks. I think.
Oh, Hicks.
Yeah. Hicks is like, okay, crap. Like he's getting ready to like lock and load and go out himself and be like, all right, I'm gonna
As soon as the bullets are gone in the turrets,
like-
then they're gonna come through.
and they finally retreat with like 10 minutes, and so you have this, or 10 bullets. Like you have this thing where it's like the aliens don't realize that all they have to do is walk up and they're in, but they don't know that, but we do. It's such great building tension. There's a lot of that drama element that you feel like you were missing. It was a really great scene.
It definitely adds to like building up the numbers of how many aliens are out there, and that they're right here. They're trying to get in. Like they know that we are here, and when they stop going towards the turrets, you know that they're now cooking up a new scheme. That they're going to try to figure something else out.
It honestly, it might be the single most important moment to feeling the scale of how many of them there are, and so again, like I haven't seen the theatrical cut, and I don't know if I've ever seen it, and if I have, it's been a long time, and so it's kind of tricky to. I'm trying to piece together what you have seen by splicing out my own memory.
Mm-hmm. Dan, do you know
but I
the
think
exact differences?
Not all of them, because like most of them are small things here and there that just had to be cut for runtime. Really, like the biggest ones are the sentry gun, and then the Hadley's Hope scene would be the 2 differences that I can think of.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because
there's
in
like a
our
whole
version. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
There's like the special edition has like an entire 10-minute sequence that's not in the theatrical cut that builds up Hadley's Hope as being like the colony where they're living at, and you just get daily life and you get to see how the infestation starts, and that whole thing is completely absent in the theatrical
There's all
cut.
these kids that you know are screwed.
Right.
Yeah.
You also get that little peek in so that you know that Burke set him up early.
Oh yeah.
Because you have the line where they're like, some asshole at Earth tells you to go check it out. You go check it out. You just do what you're told. And it's like, oh. So like in the theatrical cut, you know the whole time that Burke is behind, or excuse me, the extended edition, you know that Burke is behind it the whole time. In the theatrical cut, it's like, I think it's supposed to be like a surprise.
Wasn't really a surprise.
I mean, yeah, it's not a huge shock, but like it's supposed to be like, oh man, it was Burke. Whereas like
it was the corporation. It's like bad this whole series.
Yeah,
right?
I do gotta say, so coming off of Alien and watching this one shortly after, I like that we carried over a lot of the themes of the corpos having all this power and them treating these people as cannon fodder essentially for their greater schemes. Like I like that was ever present in the storytelling.
Yeah, and it was like, it was more intense in this one too, because like in the first one, it's just I always want to call him Rook, but that's not his name. Who's the android in the first movie?
Rook, that's right.
Ash.
It is Rook? Ash, yes.
Is it Ash or Rook?
I think it's Ash.
No, it's Ash because I think we're avoiding spoilers for other movies. Yeah, Ash is basically just trying to get the alien back, and if the miners die, the miners die. In this one, Brooke's like, no, I'll just face hug a little girl and Ripley, and then freaking kill off all the Marines in space sleep so that they can't like squeal. Like he's way darker and like his plans are way more messed up in the long run, I think, than what Ash was trying to do.
I'm sorry for getting the name wrong. Who's Rook? Who am I thinking of?
Rook is the guy. Rook
Dragon
is what
Age
you and
Vanguard.
I were calling a character that I won't name now for spoilers' sake from Alien Romulus.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, but also that makes for a good segue. I remember the whole Ripley hating androids thing being way more intense, and it was really more of a subplot. Am I the only one on that?
Yeah, no.
Go on.
I was really just kind of going to echo what it said. It's like I remember it being a lot more prevalent, and it might just be because it was a long time since I watched it, but I watched it this time around, and it didn't really seem that deep or that prevalent.
Like,
so. What were you going to say now?
They didn't dwell on it, but I do. So I like the arc and the character of Bishop in this one immensely. Coming off of Ash in the first one, being this truly kind of sociopathic robot, which he should be. Like to see the evolution and to see Bishop actually stick to his programming. He immediately states like, "Oh yeah, those ones were buggy. My version, we only help people. It's not possible for me to harm a human." And then following that, Bishop comes through time and time again for the team, down to practically giving his life for this. Like, I love the arc of from both movies to see Ripley deal with the worst that a robot can be, and then deal with the robot that really, artificial person. That's his pronouns. He made that clear. The artificial person.
You're right.
The best that he can be and how much he can help. Bishop even rats out the freaking corporation's intentions, which I loved. They only find out that Burke's planning on bringing some back because Bishop is like, "Oh yeah, no, we were told to bring back some living specimens." Like Bishop immediately looks out for the humans and protects them. And so to have the kind of the dichotomy of the evil robot versus the good one in this. Also, I mean, why does James Cameron want us to love robots so much? It's Terminator 1 versus Terminator 2 all over again. Like, he makes us fall for the robot and, be rooting for him.
That's a great point. I never noticed that.
He does blink once, though. So, he broke it.
Well, he's not buggy. He's an artificial person now.
Well, I even I took some notes. I took some notes on this because at one moment he's looking through the microscope at the facehugger, and you can see that Bishop is enamored by the biology, just as Ash was. And he has this moment where there's kind of a crazy look in his eyes where he's like, "Isn't this magnificent?" and for a split second, it's almost like a red herring where you start to make the audience think he's going to go nuts, but he doesn't. He can admire it while staying good. And I even noticed everything he did was always even the little lines he dropped. At one point, he's when they're putting him in the tunnel for him to like crawl his way through, which always gives me claustrophobia to see. But he even quickly is like, he's like, oh, watch your fingers, like when they're putting it back on. Like he cares so much for humanity, and he's just a great android to have. Sorry, artificial person to have around, and I love that arc for androids as a whole.
I agree with you too, Kyle. And I just wanted to chime in on something that you said that kind of caught my attention. How you're talking about how he's looking at the face hugger with just this fascination, and it just made me think now as I think about it, without spoiling anything for future movies, is there's a recurring theme of fascination from the androids of perfect organisms. And that's something that just keeps popping up. Like, do androids have a curiosity or a desire to be perfect? Because it just keeps coming up. And I don't know, something that you said just now just kind of popped out at me. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Well, with the arc of David that will come in future movies, like the androids probably see so much flaw in humanity that to see an organism that is perfect in its purpose. Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. There is this eternal fascination that keeps recurring of androids like being obsessed with aliens.
I never noticed that, but I'll keep an eye out going forward. That'll be a fun thing to track.
Honestly, hadn't even tracked that till now.
So yeah, I do also want to throw out while we're talking about Burke and how he was ratted out by Bishop. He's clearly, we all hate him. He's the corpo. He's the bad guy. I don't side with this guy by any means, but paying more attention to the the corpos rule everything aspect of these movies, I saw Burke through a different light in this movie, because in this universe, everyone's just doing whatever they can to get a paycheck to be more free, right? Constantly, like, it's referenced that you just got to work, and even when you're working, you're basically allotted like a small room. Like nobody has any kind of sense of freedom in these stories. And so it seems like a character like Burke is he's so, in my eyes, like he's so hungry to climb the corporate ladder, because to climb that ladder is to get freedom, is to have something more for yourself, And so I found that Burke, I still hate him. He's still, an a-hole, but I think he's just an opportunist. He's just a guy who's willing to do whatever it takes to have freedom in this world where there doesn't seem to be a lot of that to go around.
And that's really the mark of like a good bad guy, is that you can like at least see where they're coming from, So I agree. I think he's he even says that, like, I think he, like, at one point he tries to like talk Ripley into coming back using just like, we can do this, and then we can we'll be set. Like we'll
exactly. That's it. Yes. That's what I knew. He's like, go on.
You can often see you can find what somebody cares about by what they try to offer you. You could it's what somebody tries to offer is basically like a window into what they actually care about, because that's what they assume you also are going to care about.
Yeah, no, that's great. And that's exactly it. We'll be set. He says, we do this and we're made.
Something not really along those lines, but this is a good jumping off point for it. I absolutely just, this time around, I fell in love with how well they handled Ripley's entire character progression. Like at the start, she's having nightmares. You can barely convince her to go back to you basically drag her along with you. And then because of Newt and because of this new purpose, by the end you watch her choose, I could leave right now and be alive, but instead I'm going to go back down into the core to try and get Newt again. And the difference you see in her and how this whole experience develops her character into really this final form of Ripley that we all love so much. I was so impressed with it.
I would argue that has always been there for her as a character. It's very much a mirror from the first one. While it's obviously Newt's a much more it pulls you in and much more relatable and personable than Jones, but she does the same thing for Jones for innocence. So I think she just has this innate want to protect the innocence, because in the first one she goes back for Jones and that whole thing. So I think it was really just kind of the same thing, just greater, which I think is Aliens as a whole. They just take it to the next scale. They crank it up to 11.
Nice. Yeah, I thought her performance was outstanding. even down to like when she's looking through the cameras at the soldiers and they watch a chest burster happen, and you see her like having this visceral experience watching it. Like it almost looks like she's reliving the first time she saw it again, and she's like grabbing her chest and she's like freaking out. Like I thought Sigourney Weaver's performance from beginning to end was outstanding.
It was. She got nominated for Best Actress.
No way!
Yep.
I didn't know that.
In a sci-fi horror movie, she got nominated for Best Actress.
No freaking way! That's sweet. Okay, that's really cool.
And she literally had her best scene cut out of the movie.
Yeah, for real. She might have won if they had kept that scene.
Yeah, honestly.
Wow.
And I mean, just kind of, bridge off of what Mike was just saying. It seems like this movie, motherhood, is a pretty big recurring theme.
Yes.
And how Ripley takes care of Newt as kind of like a surrogate mother. So, it's a really interesting shift from that first movie, like kind of like you were saying, of just trying to stay alive to suddenly trying to make sure another person is okay. I don't have kids, but I know there's some people on the call that have kids. So how do you guys look at this movie, like Mike?
Oh, dude, I basically cried like 7 times during this movie. Like I was tearing up the whole time. Well, actually, I write letters to Jo while she's in Tennessee, and I just got one back from her, and I wrote her this letter, and I was like trying to explain to a 5-year-old the plot of Aliens, just like in a way that wouldn't be like traumatic, because I was like, this little girl reminded me of you so much. I just need to share this with you, but also like, how the crap am I gonna explain this? Yeah, it hit way harder this time, and like, yeah, it is a metaphor for motherhood, but it's impossible as a parent not to feel it just in your bones.
Well, and come on, you even have the mother of the xenomorphs like that shows up in the end. I like this moment where the Queen and Ripley have this standoff, and Ripley threatens the eggs, and like they have a mom-to-mom moment where it's like, hey, let's all just walk away. Like, you won't harm my kid, I won't harm yours.
One of Lou's favorite scene, if I remember correctly.
Your least favorite scene?
No, one of Lou's favorite scenes.
Oh, one of Lou's favorite scenes. Okay, gotcha.
And then the savagery of Ripley to be like, yeah, no, actually, you're all dead.
Whoa.
Well, it was self-defense.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the eggs
the Queen opened a face hugger, and she was like,
nope.
Okay, you want to play this game? We'll play this game.
Does the Queen control when they open, or I didn't know if it was just?
No,
I don't know. I got the impression. I don't think that was poor timing. I got the impression that was like intentional.
Well, at the very least, I think their motion or like they sense when there's activity nearby, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. So, do you think Ripley would have just walked away?
Yeah.
If the egg didn't open? Interesting. They were all going to blow up anyway, right? So.
Yeah.
Technically,
I think that the Queen made the first move, and she just acted out of like, I mean, I think there's a lot of fear, a lot of hate, and just like, oh, and you're gonna go back on our deal, fine.
Yeah.
And like the grenades into the ovipositor, I think that's what it's called. Like, jeez, they just vicious.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, the Queen just being like, cool, I'll just rip this thing off and come after you myself. What do I think this was one of Dan's points. What did Rob, what did you think of the design of the alien Queen?
Oh, of just the Queen, not the aliens? I liked it. I mean, I think it was the best design of the movie.
Interesting.
I like for the aliens. I mean, yeah, I feel like they definitely. So we talked about last pod how like they tried to make things like it seemed like an alien. They were like once you thought about it, like yeah, that's phallic in nature. But this one they just heavy on, like they even acknowledge it at one point, like oh that's just lovemaking. Yeah. So it's like that one. But
hold on, what are you talking about? Phallic in nature. I looked extra hard after we got a text from you that said what was it? That the.
Oh, there's a lot of phallic imagery in this one.
Yeah.
So the very first chest burster. So the chest burster, how the chest burster has a tip. Let's just say it has a tip. And then they burn it, and then it gets flaccid. Let's just say that. And the angle is very much flaccidity for the chest burster, and it has a tip. So
I feel like this might be more of a you thing than an alien thing. Do you see penises in a lot of movies?
I do not.
Do you? If I were to hold
That's
up a
Lou.
second,
Come on, that's
This
Lou.
and La La
how-
Land and Harry Potter and all the James Bond movies and
Well,
every
like, 'cause
Fast and
even-
Furious movie.
I mean, we talked about like the design is supposed to be like sexual in nature, so I don't
no,
see how
I
that's
agree.
a big
I think
stretch.
I think that the head of the alien is very much intended to be a dick.
Yeah.
There's
So
no-
the baby
no
one
two
with the
ways about
tip, when it sags and goes limp. That's all I'm saying.
was there anything else, or was that the only time you were like, "That's a penis"?
Well, then like, well, just like the first time you see the chest bursters, they've acknowledged that it's very, looks very much like genitalia.
I mean, it's the chest burster, the head of the xenomorph in general, except for the queen, the face hugger. I mean, we don't need to get into that, but come on.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what. Sorry, that's what I meant. The face hugger. If I didn't
Pretty,
say. And the
pretty
tubes.
self-explanatory there.
No, I just
Yeah,
felt
yeah,
like
yeah,
it was
yeah.
very. I mean, it makes like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it was very much more aware. Like when I first watched Alien, I could like when someone said something, oh yeah, I could see it, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, it's deliberate. But again, I also knew about that was what they're going for, so I was looking for it a little bit more. But in general, I like the design of the Queen alien. I feel like, I don't know if it's the lighting, but the aliens had a lot more of a metallic look in this movie, and I wasn't quite as a fan. Which
Yep.
I did some research. I guess they're supposed to have some inorganic metallic genes or something, but I like the more organic design of the alien.
That's interesting. I have the exact opposite opinion. I think the queen looks like a top-heavy T-Rex, and looks kind of awkward without the ovipositor, which I don't think aged the best. I think it's very impressive for the time it came out, but it could use a touch-up if they were ever to do another queen. I really like the more kind of I don't know. I feel like there were a lot more like spinal bumps down the back of the aliens in this one, and I really dig the design.
Mhm.
So,
No, I have
think it's
seen
just
the Queen alien
it's a taste
before,
thing.
because I did see AVP back in middle school, so it wasn't completely new. They
It
do
kind of
have-
reminded me more of a spider, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know
did
what
have
it
very-
Oh,
I
was,
can see that.
but just like the way that it lays the eggs, and then when it was in the sitting position, just reminded me, like, this thing straight up looks like a, I don't know, brown recluse or a black widow or something. Like, it would freak me out if
Yeah.
I saw it.
The tail
It's
thing is
like a dark
aside from
soul
the fact it's
spider
20
when
feet
it's
tall, but
laying.
yeah.
No.
When it's laying, I agree. I just when it starts moving, I was like,
Yeah.
these proportions are a little off. And in general, it's probably not supposed to be running around that much, so it works.
You said it's a depositor. What's that thing called?
Ovipositor.
Ovipositor. It looks like the thing
Yeah.
from Cell and DBZ when he's sucking up the androids.
He's absorbing people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just that little whoop.
Speaking of design, I got to throw a huge shout to the detail and design of all the gadgets throughout this movie. This is a very, very gadget-heavy movie. They built so many props. Even when you look at how the movie opens and like when they're sawing into, or I guess, yeah, they're just cutting their way through the door of her ship, and there's the sparks flying, and this giant arm comes in that's like scanning the room.
That's cool.
You've got the motion detectors. You've got the guns with the grenade launchers. You've got the
Kyle, we
like,
have that nowadays.
But
I don't want to
I
burst
was
your
just
bubble.
like, in general, there was like unique designs and detail and everything. Even the mech walker. We got zoom ins on the controls. Like they actually had to build a control scheme for how something like that would work. The amount of detail put into everything, every object. I even really liked that LMG that two of the soldiers are carrying that has the body rig on them. That's actually based off of an old school like camera gimbal that you would basically support the weight of a heavy camera so that a camera operator could move around like holding a heavy camera. And James Cameron swapped that to be like for use with a giant gun.
Let's put an
And so-
MG42 on this.
It literally was an MG42.
I was gonna say that's what it looked like. Like that looks a lot like an
Yeah,
MG42.
it actually was. It was 70 pounds.
Well, I'm glad I got that right.
Wow.
Shout out to that one chick.
That's the gimbal that they originally made for the Halloween movie, right? The first one.
I don't know.
Maybe?
I could be wrong on that, but that's really cool. I didn't realize that. That's such a you fact to catch. I love it.
They even have so much gadgets that they go to infrared when they're right next to huge sources of fire, and somehow they can still see from it.
Was it the infrared before the fire?
No, the fire was going like switch to infrared, and I'm like, all right, guys, come on. Like,
Yeah.
you not understand? There's
I thought they
huge
switched to
fire.
infrared when they couldn't see anything.
It was after in the theatrical cut, at least, it was like the fires are going, and like we're switching to infrared. I'm like, guys, that's
That's a bad move.
yeah, no wonder you all died.
Maybe had they by that point they have the Metal Gear Solid infrared
you
where
go.
it's just all the bad guys turn bright white and you can see them no matter what.
That's kind of why I laughed when you said gadgets, because it made me think of that. But
Nice, yeah.
they did. I think the set design and everything was fantastic, just like the first one.
Oh yeah, the slime, the just the general ooziness of all of it, and the organic like kind of almost like vine nature when she's going through the hive was just like oh, so good.
Yeah. So interesting that like we get to see what xenomorph terraforming looks like. You know, they were kind of building themselves a home. And it's just I don't know, it's wild that you kind of get to see into the mind of these creatures by seeing the home that they build for themselves.
And this is really the first time that you see that of them actually like being able to produce like ooze or gunk or whatever it is, and I think that's a huge change in direction from what you saw before, because before it was just this hunter predator
any
kind of
slime?
thing, and now suddenly you're trying to capture things
Yes.
and,
Yeah.
and put them in cocoons.
Well, and then there is the infamous cut scene from Alien where you do see them like gunked up, and so like he kind of took that Cameron took that concept that got cut from Alien and brought it into Aliens.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Totally forgot
sweet.
about that scene.
I was gonna say, I thought
That's
there was
awesome.
some gunk in Alien. One thing I really liked going, like, especially just if you're in the theaters and you saw Alien, is like when they first get to the complex and you see the melted metal and you're just like, oh, I know what that is, but like no one but Ripley does.
Yes.
And I think that's just such a cool touch, a nod to people that
Yeah.
have seen the first film.
Yeah, because I also got to note. Go on.
Go. No, you're good.
Well, I was just gonna say, well, when they're going into the facility for the first time, from the time the ship's coming down to them walking in, there's a huge stretch where there's no music at all. It's all just in-universe sound, and you get the sound of the ship and the sound of the rain, but then they're inside and it's just dead silent. And similar to Alien, the Alien played a lot with sounds or the lack thereof, and I think James Cameron kind of continued that with this film by you have this long build of tension where there's nothing but in-universe sound. There's no music, there's no nothing. It's just the quiet. And you know, the only thing that starts to break that is when you get the of their motion sensor picking something up.
Dude, those
And
are
so it's genius. The use and the lack, like the use of lack of sound or music in order to build tension. And like you just said, we as the audience, once we see the destruction, we know exactly what happened. But since they don't, we just know the further in they go, the closer they're getting to disaster.
Yeah, and I really liked it was going to be longer in the extended edition. I loved how long it took them to get to the aliens. Like somehow I kept being like, okay, they're coming now. Oh no. We gotta wait a little longer. Like and that was good. That was good. I really liked that. Like it doesn't build the same tension that Alien builds, but I think it builds good tension for what the movie's goal was.
Yeah, and
it
I
was
kind
less
of
mystery this time.
yeah.
Exactly. And they capitalized on it perfectly.
I also kind of view that in the lens of like the first movie, you only had one alien. They're by themselves. They don't have any support. So they really have to rely on things like stealth and, hiding in the shadows in order to get these kills. Here, you can just overwhelm them with sheer numbers. You don't have to hide as much anymore. You don't have to be as cloak and dagger anymore.
The Zap Brannigan maneuver.
You see, killbots have a preset kill limit. Knowing their weakness, I sent wave after wave of my own men at them until they reached their limit and shut down.
The what now?
Zap Brannigan.
I have
So,
no
like,
idea what you're talking
It's a
about.
Futurama reference.
Yeah, no, you lost me.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to connect it.
So I also want to throw out these are like I did not look this up. This is just stuff I've known about since I watched Aliens probably at way too young an age and loved it, and then picked up on these references over time. There are a lot of references to Aliens. I'll start with in the Halo universe. If you guys are fans of Halo,
Yes, I'm like,
it's
oh, it's Sergeant
Yes.
Johnson immediately.
literally, even the design of the ship is the exact same. The design of the Marines and their uniforms are the same. You have a gun that has a counter on it that tells you how many bullets are left. Even in the first game, the guns sound the same. Like, it's almost one for one, the Colonial Marines and the Marines in Halo.
They even did
That's
kind of an ODST
probably the
type
best
thing.
pitch for Halo I've ever heard. Because as I was watching that, I was like, I would love to play a Alien Colonial Marines game, but I've heard that Alien Colonial Marines sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. I'll also throw out, there's a few references in the Call of Duty franchise. Not, obviously, if you played Modern Warfare 2, there's a motion tracker you can get on your gun.
Yeah,
But
like the heartbeat sensor.
in which one is it? It's at the campaign of Modern Warfare, or the campaign of Modern Warfare 2.
Modern
At
Warfare
one point, you're on the boat. You know what I'm talking about? You're on the rainy boat. And
Yeah,
the
there's
very
there's
first
two
one.
sequences. Yep.
First-
and you're about to go in. Yes. Okay. Because you're about to go into the boat, and the guy you're with, he pulls out a shotgun out of his back because you're about to go interior, and he's like, I like to keep this one for close encounters. And then the other one, Dan, do you know the other one?
Well, I had thought you were talking about the heartbeat sensor from the
That's the
second
second
Modern
one, yeah.
Warfare because it's very similar
Hey,
to the heartbeat
Kyle.
or the motion sensor.
Kyle, want to hear something crazy that we just found out pre-pod?
Yeah.
Commander Shepard from Modern Warfare 2 is the AI. What is
What?
his name?
Artificial person.
Artificial person, yeah.
Oh my god.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
But even
mind
I think Sergeant Johnson has like the same exact line from from Aliens. So I
Yes.
think it's a pretty blatant
Frosty.
copy paste. Yeah, stay frosty. There's something about like Marines always being on like 24/7 or something like that.
blown. No, we're not getting paid by the hour.
Yeah,
I want to start saying when he's like, come on, get a move on, assholes and elbows. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but that's a really funny thing to say when it's time to move. There's another one, and I want to keep an eye out for this, but at one point, you're watching through the cameras while the Marines are getting attacked for the first time. Hicks grabs someone, he's looking right into their camera, and he's like, come on, we are leaving. That line gets brought up in multiple more Alien movies. I want to know if it's in every single one following this, because I know it's in Romulus, I know it's in Prometheus, and it's also in the Modern Warfare in that same scene.
Is it like never tell me the odds in Star Wars type thing?
Exactly.
Or I got a bad feeling
Yeah,
about this?
I got a bad feeling about this. Exactly. So keep an eye out for "We are leaving." They dropped that line multiple times in this franchise.
Interesting.
Enough to keep that out.
Yeah. You'll see it. You'll see it. Also, is it a choice that everyone is just like super sweaty the entire movie?
I know. There's
It's
times
very 80s.
I'm like, did they
Go.
dunk their head in water before this scene? I was telling Becca. Because like even like I get the lieutenant would be sweaty like watching it, especially before, but even before they run to the alien, he's just drenched. It's like the Key and Peele sketch. I'm like, oh my goodness, God. My man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, was the set really hot, or were they spraying everybody down before every take? Like, I don't know. Was it a choice or just something they had to live with?
I'm guessing it was a choice because you had the
Doesn't seem natural.
thermoreactor over. Well, no, because you have the thermoreactor is overheating and the whole thing's having a meltdown. So like, the environment is naturally going to be too hot. So I think that was a combination of like 80s styling, and it actually kind of makes sense for the movie.
Yeah. Okay. It's cinematic at least. I do also want to throw out, I like the arc of the lieutenant, the one guy we were just talking about, because I like that he's this rookie that's now in charge of all the lives of this team. Once again, going back to like similar themes in these movies is the corporals having the power in the same way. You get stuck with some crappy officer and now your life is in the hands of a rookie, and that sucks. And so, but I like that he kind of, you get to see him have this panic attack and like really failed his job, but he dies going back for Vasquez. Like he actually does a really heroic deed in his final moments by going back for her. And that's what ends up costing him his life. And so I kind of like that he did end up like kind of becoming the soldier he thought he was or wanted to be, even though in the beginning he was not him.
Yeah, really,
There's one-
everybody who makes it out alive and Vasquez are great characters that I enjoy thoroughly. Honestly, good. Everybody who makes it through the initial wave were very well worked out characters that had either just good personality enough to like make them make it halfway through the movie, or really just fantastic arcs where you're like, I actually care about this person. This is, I think that some of the Marines were there to die, but everyone who wasn't just there to die was just fantastic and really perfectly shaped for their role.
Agreed. They did not waste any time on any characters that survived the first wave.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also, just oh my gosh, I can't help feeling bad for whichever Marine just took the straight flamethrower blast and ended up falling to their death. Like, it was brutal, and that poor person just doesn't get remembered. But like, oof, what a way to go!
Yeah, big old gold medal to that guy.
And on that note, we're running low on time, so let's do favorite deaths from this movie. I want to make sure we get to that before we run out of time.
Okay,
who wants to go first? Anybody have one?
I mean, Kyle just said it, mine, but it would be Gorman and Vasquez in the little air duct, because that's just such a cool moment. And then just the line that Vasquez says is, "You always were an asshole, Gorman." Sorry, Rob. And then
Quoting doesn't count.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just so perfect to me. It was such a cool moment to just kind of have them sit there and accept it and be like, "Yeah, this is the way we're gonna go out, but we're gonna take someone with us."
Yeah, I agree. I think that's I think that's probably the best death. Rob, what do you
Personally,
Go ahead, Kyle.
Well, I was just gonna say I like the one character, Mike, that we kind of forgot that does get a little bit of screen time before dying in the opening is not the opening, but the first attack. There's the one blonde guy that kind of has this like flirty thing going on with Vasquez. They keep like he's
They
the
were
other
dancing
LMG
together
gunner.
with their machine gun.
Yeah,
So you know they're cool.
Yeah.
And like you like this guy, like
No.
him and Vasquez have so much chemistry, and he gets hit in the face with acid, and then I think it's like he gets also ignited into flames, and it's like it really comes out of nowhere because you kind of think this guy's gonna make it, and then he takes a really like brutal acidic and then flame imbued death. So I like that.
It leads to
one
such
got
a
me.
good Vasquez moment. Yeah, because you then see Vasquez real human when she's like, no, like, and they're like, you gotta go, man, he's done.
And Hicks
you
is
gotta
like,
keep,
he's done.
You gotta keep
He's
moving.
done.
It's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna show him how to get acid on the wrong side of my face later on.
Right. Yeah, he
He
learned
gets sprayed on the left, and then the acid burns on his right later. I don't know if you guys picked up from that. It's there.
Whoops.
That's funny.
I didn't really have a favorite character death, so.
Well, speaking of the acid, then I do want to say my only note for this movie, and I understand why it couldn't be this way, but I was watching the finale, and there's a scene where all the aliens, they fall in from the ceiling, and we're just lighting them up. Like the aliens are dying left and right. It would have been pretty awesome if we got to see the fact that because all this acid was spraying around the room from these deaths, that the whole room was just melting. Like that whole room should have been a pit into like the ground below by the end of that fight because of how many alien deaths were just popping off. Like it would have been kind of cool to
bullets
see
or
everything.
just flamethrowers? I agree that would have been awesome, but I was just curious. Were they using
Well,
bullets?
it
or
was definitely the pulse rifles they were
Okay.
using, so yeah.
And it's like, I get it. It's probably really hard to melt your set in the 80s, but if we had that whole set just melting down, and as they're getting away, you just see that like basically the whole room is sinking.
That'd be cool.
That's melting away. That would have been awesome.
Realistically, I think they should all be dead when you really think about it. It's like they should have all just been burnt up from the giant acid spill that should have gone all over all of them. But so you kind of couldn't do that because we kind of have to pull the Ryan George, hey, shut up, and don't think about it too much.
Yeah.
But
Well,
for
there's
me,
a much more sin for don't think about it too much than that acid thing. No one else groaned when she opened up to the space and was hanging on there through the vacuumless space and still.
Oh my gosh!
Like the first, I went back. I'm like, wait a second. Did they do that in the first one? Which they did, but she was in a spacesuit, and then they do that again. But she's just hanging on there, and somehow, as it's closing, she pulls herself. She's stronger than the vacuumless space and pulls like a leg up and everything. I'm like, oh my gosh!
Well, she was spending time with the Marines. She learned how to do the pull-ups.
Oh yeah.
She also has that mother strength, like when moms lift planes off of babies and stuff. It was that motherhood strength. Don't forget, she also had a queen alien hanging onto her foot at one point there.
Yeah, yeah. We definitely have to let some stuff slide.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like Rip should just be getting off the entire every planet she's on. She should just be like winning arm wrestling matches all the way through, and just be like, nope, this is how I make my living now. For me, my favorite death by a mile is Burke. It's nothing special, but it feels so good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That was the one where I was like, oh, yes, I've been waiting for this guy to die.
Was it just a
And I
regular
just
alien, right?
relished in it. Yeah, he just gets got.
I
I don't
know,
even know if they show it.
No, I don't. I think the camera changes. But I think it would have been fitting if it was like a face hugger too. That would have been cool. Just,
That would have been
Nice.
the
so
irony.
good.
But before we go, can we just talk about how James Cameron should be suing Elon Musk for copying his Cybertruck idea?
It's for real.
My God.
That came via Becca.
No, that was literally my first thought too. I was like, why is there a Cybertruck in 1985?
That's so funny. I didn't even think about that, but it's very spot on.
Yeah. We're also gonna have to start lining the Marines with rubber because apparently the acid can't burn through rubber, which makes somewhat sense, but because it runs over an alien, you see like acid spray everywhere, but the tire's fine. So
Tires are fine.
put those men.
I did wonder about that.
Call up the Michelin Man. What's he doing?
What's he doing?
The only savior Earth can have.
Yeah. I will say if they really wanted to cut time, they could have just trimmed some of the insane amount of time they spent just cutting between Ripley's face and scenes of the car driving over and over and over again. That did go a little long, but
If I'm not mistaken, it is longer even in the special edition versus the theatrical, that particular scene, if I'm not mistaken.
okay, that one I could live with the theatrical cuts version of.
Yeah.
I did not need how unbelievable. I was like, yeah, I get it. I understand the length of this hallway. Didn't need that.
Can I actually say one more thing I got before we wrap it up?
Yeah.
One thing I always appreciate any movie that does this, but when they said we have 17 minutes left, I paused. There's 17 minutes left of the movie, or right about there. Enough. Like, and I'm like, I whenever I can, like if I'm streaming, I always pause it 'cause I'm just curious. I'm like, I gotta know. And they did that, and I love that.
That's awesome.
Not when they said 36 though, because I did check before. But the 17, almost right on the money.
That's fantastic. I appreciate that.
I do appreciate
awesome.
that too.
So keep an eye out. We're nailing the details down, but we will be discussing Alien 3 coming up. So let us all know what you think of this movie in the comments. And Kyle, what are you working on right now? Get you some plugs.
Oh, thank you. The web series Inhabitants is about to get its season finale. And then we start I start campaigning to get seriously funded to remake that movie as like a real feature film. We're looking to get a $300,000 budget from investors. And so we're kicking off the next chapter, which is making movies on the grand scale. And I'm really excited about it.
What kind of
I've had
dollar
to
get
learn. What kind of what?
me? What kind of dollar get me? I'm looking to invest.
It'll get you, but it'll take you like 7 months for the hoodie to get there.
There you go.
Yeah, it'll get you. We can put a picture of you in the film in the background.
Dibs.
Maybe.
I'll do it. What's your Venmo?
Yeah, no, it's really exciting though. It's like I've learned about the complicated world of money that goes into making movies, and it all sucks. But it's what you got to learn if you want to make it to the next level. So that's what I'm on right now.
Awesome, Rob. You got some stuff, right?
Yeah, I got this little thing called the Top Podcast going. Check it out.
Yeah.
It's every Monday
That's so awesome.
on the YouTube and the Spotifys and the Apple Podcasts. And then I do have Eclipse Fiction. Just life has been so busy, but links in the description. Same with Kyle's Four Horsemen and everything. Go check out that stuff. It's great. But I also doing a little side project when I have time, and life's just been busy so far. But it's short stories that Mike and I have written and narrated by myself and some other friends. So go check that out.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I've been digging the ones that weren't by me, and the ones that were by me, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, I've heard this before. But Rob stuff is good. Rob stuff is good. I should probably pitch myself better next time, but I'm too tired at this point. Dan, this is the thing you're pitching, but if you got anything, this is your moment.
No, I'm just a degenerate. I sit in my basement for 12 hours a day.
Hey, man,
Yeah,
you
no.
got a nice basement.
I do have a nice basement.
You know I'm a degenerate.
Yeah, no. Come check out our Alien Earth podcast later this summer when we check out every single episode as they come out.
When does that come out, that TV show?
Summer 2025. That's all we got.
That Neil deGrasse Tyson commercial was good. I saw it the other day. I watching Pistons lose, but it's a good commercial.
So
Neil
we're
deGrasse,
gonna
what are you
get through as
talking
many of these. What? Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson commercial.
Yeah,
is
so-
it for Alien?
It's for Alien. It's like, you think it's gonna be this nature documentary, but it's like, but they don't know what was here before, and it's like Alien Earth or whatever. I'm like, dang, that actually got me. It's Neil
That's
deGrasse
sweet.
Tyson narrating it.
That's awesome.
That is
I'm looking that
awesome.
up.
Look
That's
up.
really cool.
Yeah, so we're gonna get through as many of these movies as we can before it all comes out. So next is Alien 3, which I suspect will be the end of unanimous agreement that we have masterpieces and should make for some more spicy conversation. But you'll have to wait till then. Until next time, if you like this, give it a like, give it a subscribe. We've been getting all these new views, which is awesome. We love that you guys are here. But if you can hit the button, it helps us out. Maybe. I don't know how YouTube works anymore. It makes me feel better. So, do it for me. If you're listening on Spotify, go ahead and leave a comment as well. Apple Podcasts. You guys know the internet. You know all the things. I don't need to tell you at this point. And we'll be back next week with... Rob, do you have any idea what order we're doing these in anymore?
Nope, I have to figure out what we're doing next week. I'll text you guys.
Stay tuned. All right. Until next time, peace.
Game over, man! Game over!